I feel like Mike Jordan, give me the rock and I'm scoring. Hey, came from the bottom, that's foreign. I swear that I'm up for the sun in the morning. Oof, hey, I gotta flex. I need a Nike.
Good morning, great day. What's good? What's happening? Man, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually amped. I'm so excited to have you here, Pat. And this really is like a full circle moment for me because, you know, literally where we are right now, I was just about 2 or 3 blocks away from here for the last 10 years or so. And I left, went on this journey, and now we're back here in this same spot, not far from where I was doing a whole different thing. My life was in a whole different direction. My career was a whole different occupation, and now we're here having this conversation. So I'm really excited to have you here. And I want to welcome everybody to the Still Making Plays podcast. Still Making Plays podcast. This is presented to you and powered by XMAN Performance and Development. And all we want to do with XMAN Performance and Development is hustle and motivate. We want to make sure that people, no matter where you are in life, no matter where you are in your career, no matter where you are as an athlete or as a young professional, we want to make sure that people are able to hustle to get everything that they want out of their life. And then we want to motivate them to motivate others to do the same thing. And so with that being said, like, I'm really excited to have our first guest, Pat Peagler.
Man, I appreciate you having me on here. Like I said, it's a pleasure, man. You know, we've talked over the past few months and got to know each other on a good level and stuff like that. And so we're on the same type of wavelength, same type of energy. We have same type of initiatives as far as helping the youth and helping males to achieve more in life. And so anything that has your name attached to it, I'm all for it. So I said, thank you for even giving me this platform to just talk about this stuff.
Absolutely. So I'll just tell everybody, you know, like, we're going to have a real conversation, but at the same time, it could be comical, it could be controversial. Who knows where it might go? But the bottom line, the foundation of what we're talking about here is keeping it real, keeping it 100, and putting information out there, sharing information between each other and between everybody who's listening, that's going to help everybody, again, to hustle and motivate. Let me tell you a little bit about Pat Peagler, my good friend. I haven't known him for a long time, but in the short time that we've known each other, man, like, he's really done some honorable things and has really shared a phenomenal life experience, from career, his personal experience, and the things that he's doing in the community. So Pat actually is from a place called Greenville, Alabama, a small rural city south of Montgomery. And from there, he was a student athlete growing up. He went on to college to play football. And the interesting thing about his time in college was, you know, he went there playing football, but along the way, Pat actually discovered that he wanted to go in a different direction. And I'll let him tell you more about it, but quite frankly, when that happens, like, that's sacrilegious in the sports world. Like, especially for young black men who have the ability, it's unheard of to be in a position where you're getting a chance to play and you say, well, I'm not going to do it. Like, I want to do something else. It's just unheard of. It's not supposed to happen. But Pat ends up doing this, and he'll tell you more about, you know, like, that decision and what happened leading up to it, and then what happened once he made that decision. But he takes the leap, he does that, he pivots, goes in a different direction for his career, and it ends up scoring for him, literally. And so we're going to talk about, you know, just what that journey was like. We're going to talk about, you know, the things that he was able to see and the things he's been able to experience, and just, you know, what were his ups, downs, his successes, his failures? Like, what were the keys in your playbook to help you to get to where you are now? And so with that being said, I'm going to let Pat introduce himself. He's going to tell you who he is, where he's from, what he's about, and kind of how he got to this moment.
Well, like you said, I am from Greenville, Alabama, small town. You know, when I was younger, I had a different perspective on Greenville, Alabama. I viewed it as a small town that didn't have much, and I used the term small-minded a lot when I was referring to people in my family and people that was in the town. And as I've gotten older and I've gone through things, I've been humbled a few times, and now I look at it from a different lens. It's a place that has opportunity, and it has the ability to be a lot bigger than what it is, but it just requires the right people that's there to push people and to speak life into people. And so I played football there, and it's so interesting because I played 2 years of high school football, and so my whole story is just, it's not the playbook that most people take. It's not the normal layout. My life has been all over the place. I've had detours and stuff, and so I didn't play the years that most people play to get college offers. I played my sophomore year, and then I didn't play again until my senior year. And then I had to be forced to come play my 10th grade year. So I just, like I said, I didn't really play sports. I was more of a basketball player. I love basketball, playing at home and stuff like that. But a lot of the friends that I played with, they played sports in school, and they played. I was like, well, man, I need something to do. My friends are playing, so I mean, I need to go and play and be around them. And so that kind of sparked me to go play my 10th grade year along with the coaches, kind of pushing, because some of my teammates or some of my friends were kind of like saying like, hey, we got this dude, Pat, like he's one of our friends, he's strong, I think he'll be a good football player. And so they kind of recruited me in a sense, to come play football. And so, I left and I didn't play, and then I came back my senior year and I played football. And so, junior year is where you get all your offers, you start to get your hype as an athlete. And so I didn't play, and then I played my senior year. And so I played my senior year, I was a captain, and we had a really good season. We ended up losing in the semifinals and stuff. But then I was able to get an offer from Faulkner University. It's a Christian school in Montgomery, a small school, to go on a partial scholarship. And so I went there. I took that chance to go play football there at Faulkner, and it was a challenging time for me because you have a team that had just started like a year before. So my year that I went there was the first year that they actually touched the field. It's like the first year was the inaugural, I think that's what it's called, I can't remember. But
An inaugural season?
Yeah, it was the first season, and then so my year was the year they was going to actually put the pads on and go out there. And so they're just trying to get bodies. So it was 160 people, I think, that came out that was on the team. So you're talking about a lot of people and trying to really go after, certain spots, coaches trying to figure out their roles and stuff like that. And so it was an interesting time for me because one thing I didn't mention is that, my circumstances at the time was not the best. My father, he went to prison when I was in the 10th grade. And so I was bouncing around from home to home, trying to, find shelter and stuff like that. And so it wasn't a good time, but I made it through that situation. So when I went to Faulkner, like I said, it was a learning experience. My first time being away from the home where your parents are not telling you, hey, you gotta wake up, you gotta do this, you have that freedom to make those decisions on your own. And I made a lot of bad decisions, that, I've learned from. I had to be the one that go through it first, and then now I'm able to tell kids coming after me and people after me, hey, if I was you, I would try it this way because this is gonna lead you in that type of direction and stuff like that. And so I went to Faulkner. Like I said, I played one season there. I ended up working my way to starting a couple games into the season, and I just decided to transfer and leave and transfer to Troy. And by that time, I was just so frustrated with sports and stuff, and so I wanted to really go get a job and pursue athletic training, which I'm a certified athletic trainer right now.
Tell us a little bit about some of the disappointment or the frustration that you had in the sports world, because a lot of our student athletes that are watching, all that they see is the glitz and the glam. They see the social media, the Instagram and Snapchat version of being a student athlete. But tell us a little bit about some of the things that you experienced that you might not have known were coming at you. And once you got into that situation, it kind of changed your perspective and didn't come out as fun as what you wanted it to.
Well, the business side of sports, like I said, it is a business. As much as we tend to think that it's an emotional thing, it's a recreational thing. Here in America, it's a business, and it's a lucrative business for a lot of different companies. And so now that I know what I know, and to be on both sides, because I was an athlete, and then now being in an administrative role and being able to be an authority figure to know what it looks like on the other side, it's a business. And a lot of athletes get into situations not knowing the business side, and a lot of it's done in recruiting. You know, it's business. They're recruiting you for you to come to their school, and once you get there, you realize it may not be what you thought it was going to be. And so that side of things is one side I would say was not necessarily a mistake, but it was a learning experience, because that's something that is still happening to this day, where you're having athletes making decisions on their own, or they're influenced by the wrong people, and it doesn't really pan out for them like they thought it would. But sports in general, I have a lot of respect for sports, because I feel like the one thing the two things sport does is it brings unity. Other than the military, it's the one sport or situation where you bring somebody of one color and another color, and you come together, and you're all going for the common goal. And that's very big in the military. Just talking to veterans and people in the military. Got a chance, it's crazy, through sports, got a chance to meet Marcus Luttrell, the guy from Lone Survivor. He had just gotten back from Afghanistan, and he was talking to the Denver Broncos, and he was talking about his whole platoon died except for him. They all got shot up and they all died except for him, and he got rescued. And he was saying the only thing that kept them fighting every day is the fact that they had to protect their brother that was on the other side of them. And they knew that the military itself and stuff that was going on wasn't to benefit them. But that was the only thing that was their driving force. I can't let this man down that I get up every morning with and do stuff like that. And so, like, I think sports, it brings that element to it. And then also adversity. Sports, it exposes you to adversity. Now, it doesn't teach you how to respond to it, but it provides the adversity. What will you do when something happens that's not expected? And so that's my life. Like I said, nothing has been a straight, clear-cut path. Everything's been a detour. So that's one thing I really enjoyed about sports. It just continued to enforce that and prepare me for situations, because things come up all the time, where it's meetings changing, practice changing. You may go from being the starter to being benched, or you may be benched to becoming a starter. There's just so many things that happen as being a student athlete that prepares you, or I wouldn't say prepare you, but it just exposes you to that adversity, see how you respond to it.
Now, I noticed that you talked about when you got a chance to listen to Marcus Luttrell, it was when he came to speak to the Denver Broncos. So you were actually a part of the Denver Broncos organization for a while.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So it's crazy. I ended up transferring from Faulkner to go play at Troy, and then I decided I don't want to play. I'm just going to go and focus on my academics. And it was a struggle to get into academics, because a lot of my courses didn't transfer, and that's another element that being a student athlete, you don't know. If you go to one college, if you transfer somewhere, will they transfer with you? Because that could put you in a deficit when you're trying to go to the next school. And so I had an uphill battle to climb, a hill to climb to get my grades in order. Got into the program, and I went on a minority scholarship to the Denver Broncos. I was just at the right place at the right time, and a lady that was my program director, she came up to me and she was like, "Hey, the Denver Broncos are looking for great minority athletic trainer students that can, apply for a scholarship, and then they would go and be a part of the team." And I'm like, okay. And so, looking back at it now, they saw something in me that I didn't see. I knew that I wanted to do something in life, but they saw something. They knew that I was someone that they could trust, that could go and represent the university, and would have that motor and wouldn't burn bridges and do the wrong things there while they was there. And so I went there for preseason as a student, and that was the year that Peyton Manning had first got there.
Really?
He had just freshly got cut from the Colts.
Really?
And he was there. They were talking about, is he gonna be able to throw the ball? So I got there, and so I got a chance to work with Peyton Manning and to work with, Champ Bailey and all those guys, Von Miller and stuff like that. And so it was an experience. I had to work hard. Like I said, I was the low person on the totem pole. I had to work hard. But it was experience for me that was great because one, I had never been on a plane.
Right.
And I had to fly out to go to Denver. So that alone was an experience for me and my family because my family are afraid to fly too. A lot of my family they've never been out of the state.
Just hadn't been exposed.
They haven't been exposed.
Yeah.
So just that process of being the person in the family that is like taking that risk and that chance to that opportunity to go somewhere else to see something new kind of started like a trickle down effect with other people in other situations because they started saying, wait, if he can do that, I know I can do it too.
That's right.
And it's so crazy. My person I got over there, she was there at the airport when I was a student. When her and my mom was taking me there, and it was just like you would have thought I was leaving for the military the way my mom was acting.
Right.
Because like I said, that just wasn't common. It's something that
Everybody
we did.
was kind of looking like, in case we don't see you again, right?
Right. Well, if you're gonna come back, like I'm going on deployment, it's like no, I'll be back in a few months. Like I'm just going out west, and so. But I did a good enough job, and they invited me to come back the next season to work full time. And that next season is when we got a chance to make it to the Super Bowl. So in my first full season, the Denver Broncos made it to the Super Bowl.
Now tell us really quickly, what was your job or what was your role? Obviously it was something in sports medicine. Like what did you have to do from day to day?
Well, as a student, it was a little different. As a student, stay busy.
Gotcha.
You got time to lean, you got time to clean. It was a lot of hard work from the moment we woke up, 5 o'clock in the morning, the day started and it ended at 5 o'clock p.m. I mean, all the way from cleaning, stocking stuff inside of the facility, the drink coolers. We had to do rehab multiple times where we have to be the people that, bring towels, do different things, just there to kind of assist.
Right.
Doing that grit work that we knew everyone had to do. The head athletic trainers and people who had been there for years, they all started there. Whenever we would talk, they would all say, yeah, I did this when I was, 20 years old. I started off with this team and I had to do that. And so, that experience was a little different from when I came back the following year when I was full time. Right. Because now I was more of a supervisor for the students. And so I didn't have to do as much, but I still had to do a lot of the daily operational type of deals. And so it was a lot of work, 12-hour shifts, but just basically being a part of the team. And that's one thing I got a chance to be exposed to when I was in Denver, is to see what it takes to win at that level and at any level. Because what they exposed me to was, if you're the guy that's stocking the cooler and I'm the money guy on the franchise quarterback like a Peyton Manning, your role is no lesser than mine.
That's right.
They're going to put your role up there with my role as the quarterback, so everybody treats everyone the same. The equipment guys get the same amount of respect as a Peyton Manning. And the guy that's bringing in the mail, the woman that's over here working in the office, everybody has attention to detail and they all respect everybody's job. And if one person's not doing their job, they look at it like that's a kink in the chain that's going to mess up what's going on. And it just seeing that, once I left there, I really was like, that's how you're able to win in organizations and in programs. You got to have everybody on the same page. College and high school is a little different. You don't really see that. You see it at the programs that win, but for the most part, there's a lot of attention that's put on just the athletes and just the sport versus, okay, how do we make sure that these people are fine, the support staff? How do we make sure we have enough staff members to do the job that needs to be done? That we have enough people focusing in on certain things, like we talk about character, different type of stuff that just, it's more than just one way to skin a cat and to do things. And so that experience was great. Like I said, I got a chance to be around some great guys who will go down in the Hall of Fame, and I talked to them just like I'm talking to you. And I had their numbers and we would communicate all the time and stuff. And it was just a really good experience.
That's huge though, because just going back to your process of how you ended up making it to the field and being a part of the staff, you said you started having to do the grunt work. And that's so important because, a lot of the young men that we work with, they literally believe that the first day you walk in, you're supposed to start, The first day you walk in, you're supposed to be the star and get the star treatment. The first day that you walk in, you're supposed to be front and center. And what you just explained was that, you know, number one, you weren't Peyton Manning anyway. But even though you weren't Peyton Manning and you didn't come there to be Peyton Manning, even in your role, you still had to go through a process and take time to get to the top of the food chain, even in the work that you were doing. So that was huge. And then, you know, the second thing that you said that was really important was when you talked about how the organization is successful because every single role is important. Like, that's huge. To understand that in order for us to win, no matter what your job is, you have to do your job really at a Super Bowl champion level in order for all of us to actually have a chance to be a Super Bowl champion. So those are two huge things that I'm sure you took away, and you now apply those things in the work that you do with the community and with your young men and with your training and all those other things, correct?
Right. No, definitely. I mean, and since then, like I went off to work at Troy University and to work at Alabama State University and stuff. And so it was something that was instilled in me from just being exposed to that. And so trying to bring that same type of attention to detail when you're doing things. But with that being said, not everyone will understand that, because that motor and that type of drive, when you take that and put it into an environment that's not used to seeing that, you get a lot of pushback and you get resistance, because now you're coming in with a winner's mentality, and you could be going into a place where they're just okay with being mediocre, and they don't understand what they're seeing. And so I experienced that. I experienced that from going to places like that where it's go, 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 go. If you say, hey man, go grab that water bottle for me. You got two people and you say, hey, go grab that water bottle. One person may walk and take their time to go get that water bottle. The other person may jog and go get it because they're just assuming that water bottle is important to you and you need it right then. Right. So it's a difference, and that makes a difference long term, and with your team and just with anything, the sense of urgency and the importance of doing something. If you're gonna do it with the intention of, I don't know how much this means to this person, so I'm gonna rush to do it. I think it's better for somebody to say, no, you ain't gotta run, calm down. Versus you just taking your time and stopping at the refrigerator first and then it's like, hey man, can you come on? And I think that's the biggest thing we're seeing now with the kids and with the youth, is that it's not all of them, but you have that mindset where I'll get to it when I get ready. They don't understand the sense of urgency, the attention to detail. Yeah, you want to be that type of athlete, but do you want to do this type of motor stuff and groundwork that you have to do in order for people to allow you to even be like that? And so, yeah.
When you did it, did you, when you had to come out of that environment and then come into a different environment where the sense of urgency wasn't there, or like you said a minute ago, people didn't understand that that's what it took, and you said that you had some rough spots in that, like talk to us about how you were able to navigate when you're in an environment where everybody isn't on that high level of thinking and that high level of execution, when the mediocrity is okay.
Right. Well, I think leadership is the biggest thing. Who is above you, and who is like, what's the communication? What's the goal? The roles, like I mentioned earlier with Denver, they put it out. This is your role. And if you stepped outside of that, hey, we don't need you to do all that. Just do that what we just told you to do. That's all you need to do. You need to have the roles be explained, and then everyone knows their role. You focus on your role and you do that. But when you walk into situations like that where the leadership is not up to par, they don't know their roles. They're leaving it fair reign for you to do whatever you want to, so you've got everybody doing what they want to.
Right.
And it's harder to get something achieved if you're the only person, or if it's only a select few that's speaking that same language. You'll end up being filtered out because the other people who are like that are gonna team together. They find a way to team together, and then you become that person that's the bad person, or the person that's causing issues, or you're the person that has a problem, they refer to you to different stuff. It's like, no, I don't have a problem. It's y'all that have the problem. So I don't know, so to speak, I don't have the answer to how I was able to get it accomplished, because I don't think I necessarily did. For me, I just tried to control the stuff that I control, my performance, everything that I did, and trying not to take on tasks that I know that was too much, which is one of my downfalls as a human being, is taking on tasks. I have a hard issue just flat out telling somebody no. I would try to do anything I can to try to help somebody, and that sometimes results in me being the one that gets the short end of the stick.
Where do you feel like that comes from?
The way I was raised, my mom and my father is my upbringing. That's how they are. To this day, they're like that. They'll give you anything they have off their back, and so that's what I saw. And you know, people take advantage of them. In the same way, they'll take advantage of you if you just continue to just give people. And so with me knowing that, what I try to do now is I try not to just give to people. I try to, hey, how can me and you do it together? I'll teach you how to fish. I wouldn't just give you the fish, I'll teach you how to fish. We go together, and so I don't have to tell you how to do it anymore, teach you how to do it anymore. So it's just trying to understand, like, if you don't teach people and show people how to do something, you're gonna be doing that for them for the rest of your life if you don't show them in the front end. And so that's kind of how I try to maneuver that. And so with this next step in my life right now, this next chapter, what I'm doing and doing my own stuff, doing my own, you know, consulting and different things, and doing the training, performance side of things, I'm able to use that energy that you talked about, that I talked about, that attention to detail. I'm going to do that for myself. You know, I don't have to question or wonder if Sally over here next to me is going to provide that same energy. I know what I'm going to do for myself. And so just being all in for myself and trying to be that leadership that I wanted when I was in that position. So that's my solution to that issue that I come upon when I saw I got to push back in situations where it wasn't up to par from a leadership, and everybody didn't have the same type of attention to detail.
Let's talk a little bit about your work in the community. Now, people might not know, but you actually have started a young mentoring group for young males back at home. You also obviously have a training facility and a training business that you do. You do personal training and kind of helping people with their fitness and nutrition and recovery. And then you also are kind of a jack of all trades, because you also are able to work with your hands. Like, you've got a skilled labor that you're able to do as well. So talk about just how all those things that those different areas where you've got skill and you've been putting work in, just talk about how some of that stuff comes together, and how you're working those things. You can see how it's starting to help the people that you're helping to move forward and be successful in their lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, even as a child, like I told you, I'm not cut dry. This is black or white. Mm-hmm. I'm a gray person. Like, my life is gray. Mm-hmm. I don't understand just black and white. Mm-hmm. And so I've always had a passion for art, for music. Like, a lot of people don't know this, but when I was 12 years old, I could really beat and everything like that. And I was making beats on a computer, and I had this thing where I was writing songs for my family, like my nieces and nephews. Yeah. Really? My older nieces and nephews and cousins and people that were underneath me. I had full songs that I had created, produced on my own, and I just gave them the sheet of paper. This is your rap. This is your chorus. I had it down to a science, and I mean, even older, that were teenagers, we did it. Like, I literally went to their house multiple times, and I was like, we had songs, we had it put on tapes, and so I've always had this type of mind where I like to create, I like to produce, because I have art in here, but it's just trying to get it out to the world.
Now, were you the guy, not to cut you off, but were you the guy in school who, whenever we would be maybe like in PE or at lunch, you would be the guy with the pencils at the lunch table and be making the beats?
I was that guy.
Got you.
Yep. Turn it up.
So you'd be the guy that, like, everybody was gathered around, and then they freestyle to your beats. Oh, yeah. But as soon as a teacher or a coach came, everybody scurried.
Oh yeah.
And you be the guy left holding the pencils.
I was the guy. I've made a lot of guys look good with the beat. You know how you can break the beat down, like you change the beat. Right. Like I made a lot of people look good when they was freestyling by doing that. But yeah, and I was in the band. I tried the band for like a year. I did percussion. Yeah, I was that guy. And I was also that guy when the teacher was talking, I was drawing. Not paying any attention, I was drawing, literally creating while they're talking. I'm drawing. Sometimes I would draw them in a funny manner, but I was drawing, like I could draw from an early age.
Was it something that got you in trouble at all in school?
No, not at all. To be honest with you, now that I'm older, I understand that now that was my therapy. I got through because I was a kid that was quiet in school. I got joked on and stuff like that, bullied. So like, how I was able to get through that stuff is drawing and to doing that stuff. Like that was me, like expressing myself. And so I got through those early years from doing stuff like that. And so now that I'm older, it's kind of like I've been trying to avoid it in a sense. And like I hadn't drawn in probably maybe, it was years had gone by and I hadn't drawn or do anything like music wise. And with the COVID-19 and stuff, it has forced me to think about things, and I just started, I got into woodworking, and woodworking required me to measure and draw to know what I'm drawing. And since then, man, I tell you, I've been drawing, I've been painting and building and stuff like that. One of my clients called me yesterday in the Renaissance, man, but it's just coming back because it's like, this is what I used to do. And it's like, it's something I had put away, and it's almost like I've got reunited with my old love. And it's like, we're back together. And so there's no rhyme or reason. It all makes sense to me.
Right.
It's like, my thing is, with kids, when you have that mindset, we're quick to tell kids, you got to focus on one thing. That's it. No, like that's not how our mind is. Some people don't focus on one thing. Some people's minds are just, hey, I do multiple things. I can focus like this. I gotta have my shoes over there. I gotta have this over here. Like I gotta have it like that. And so I'm the type of person where it's like, when I've been productive, I didn't listen to people tell me to just focus on one thing. I think that's what they say that's how they feel comfortable doing it. But for me, I'm perfectly fine and I'm in my element when I'm able to just go how I feel, do it how I see it, and at my time and at my leisure. Because I just feel like you come back to it when it's time for you to come back to it.
That is so interesting, and I saw a meme somewhere on Facebook or something some days ago where it said to the effect that what you were when you were a kid, if everybody could get to the point where they reverted back to what they dreamed of being when they were a kid and do those things, it really is a way, it's almost like that's what some of your purpose is. So if you wanted to be a firefighter when you were a kid, and for some reason, somewhere along the way between, the fear that people have put on us or the doubt that people have put on us in our lives, if you could just get back to what you believed about yourself when you were a child and you didn't quote unquote know any better, that's one of the big keys for everybody being successful and happy.
Right.
Is being able to go back to whatever it was that was put in you and you just naturally found your way to. For me, just like you, music and sports I've been in love with the two of those things literally my entire life. They say that when I was 5 years old, and my parents would bring me home from daycare or wherever, they would literally, when they would park the car in the driveway, I would, in 5 minutes flat, have run into the house, grab my motorcycle helmet, because I thought the motorcycle helmet with the visor was a cool football helmet. But I would have grabbed the motorcycle helmet and my football and be back out in the front yard running touchdowns. And they say that I would take drumsticks, because I beat the pews with my hands as a child in church, and they gave me some drumsticks. So then I started beating the pews with the drumsticks, and then my first bike, I took my bike, turned it over on the side, and just started beating the wheels. So those are the things that literally, you were given those things as a small innocent child, and the world and society just kind of tells you well, that's never going to make any money.
Right.
Or they tell you that, well, that's not going to, like for me, it was, you can't be a starving artist. Right. And so you kind of run away from all those things that you just had natural talent and natural ability for.
Right.
But I love the fact that what you're saying is you have started to be able to rediscover all of that stuff, and you're finding ways to do it, not only so that it fulfills you, but you're also able to fulfill, you know, needs and services for others.
Right.
Love that.
And I mean, you're getting better, and I feel like that's the goal, because in sports, we try to get better, and in my opinion, you can't really get, there's a cap that you're going to get. It's a false narrative in sports, because if you're the running back and I'm the offensive lineman, you could not do your job, but if I block for you the right way, you still score.
That's right.
You didn't have to get better. You probably got worse that day, but you was able to, stat-wise, you had a good game. So I just think sports is good and it gives you adversity, but when you talk about things like this, where when you have an art, when you have a talent, you get better. If you drawing something and it doesn't look right, and you try it one time, you go, man, I don't really look like that person. Well, you go back and you keep working at it, and then you're gonna get better. You're gonna improve. With music, you learn to play an instrument. The first time you pick it up, you may not have the string the right, you know, on the same right key, but you keep messing with it and you keep toying with that thing. You figure it out and you go, man, I got it. We get better as people when we're able to do that. And so that's where I'm at now, is doing stuff like that, where I get better every day because it's me. And a lot of times we settle. You know, if you have a design in mind that you want for your nonprofit or for your business, you got to almost take what I tell you that you should have. It's not really your idea. You're coming with me with a partial, I kind of want this, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm giving you my art. And you're saying, yeah, all right, I'm going to roll with that, because you don't have a choice.
That's right.
So the beauty is when you are the person that's delivering the art and you don't have to say anything. Because with the kids now, everybody wants gratification. Look at me. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. With art, and this is in all fashion, you don't have to talk. You put a piece of art on the wall and the person walks in and they decide what they want to tell you about it.
That's right.
That's like me coming in and going, man, I smell good. No, it's not up for me to say I smell good. It's up for you to say, somebody smell good.
That's right.
So it's like that is what we have to start preaching more to the kids and to people, is just finding that art within you. Because that's what true happiness is. I think that's what the purpose that we talk about, because I can stay doing what I'm doing with that at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I feel good. I sleep good and wake back up and I'll do it again the next day.
Something you're passionate about. Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us, what are your top 3 as far as your top 3 rules for life, success, finance, fitness, wherever you want to go with it, but what are your top 3 things that you live by and things that you would give to us as part of your hustle, and what motivates you and what motivates others?
So a couple of years ago, I was in a situation where I had gained a lot of weight. I was 300 pounds and I was struggling with alcoholism and different things like that. And I was able to get out of that situation. And the way I got out of it, number one, primarily, is through strength through God, from those who believe in a higher being. But most importantly, I sat down one night and I wrote down, how am I going to get this thing started? How am I going to lose weight? How am I going to get my life in order? And I'm sitting there in my living room and I write down 3 things. 1, eat with a purpose. 2, train with a purpose. And 3, live with a purpose. And with that, I created the name Training to Live. And so that's my fitness brand that I have. And so with my life, it's all structured around that. So when I wake up every day, I try to eat with a purpose. And eating can be not just food. It's what are you consuming? Like who are the people that you're allowing around you? Like, because that dictates how you're going to be. And so the food, if it doesn't have a meaning and have a purpose, like what is it going to help? Is it going to help me to achieve the other 2? If not, I try to stay away from that. And so training with a purpose. You know, I'm not working out just to be working out. When I work out with a vision that I have to live longer. I got to be healthier because I need to be able to talk. I need to be able to go get up and do what I need to do. So it's all with a purpose. And then the living with a purpose is I got to do something that is purposefully, like I got to be able to make a change on somebody. I got to be able to have an impact, have an influence, whether it's donating money, whether it's donating stuff that I have, whether it's giving homeless people money that I see. Like, I'm constantly doing something when I mentor the kids. It has to be something with a purpose. It's not just living here, taking up space. It got to be with a purpose. And so I live by those three, you know, to make the training to live. And so it's something that, like I said, it just came up with it like that from sitting down with it. But I preach it and I stand on it because with that, I'm able to stay really close to the dock and not venture too far off because I can always get back centered and grounded to what it's all about.
What do you believe, and this will be my last question, but what do you believe ultimately is the purpose that you want to accomplish? What do you want to be remembered for?
For me and my family, because we don't have a lot of history, like I don't know who my great-grandfather is. Mm-hmm. There's no history on both sides. There's no importance to the name, you know, the Peagler name or the Demons. There's no one knows it. Even to this day, when I say my name, people don't know. They go, oh, how do you spell it? Because it's not a well-known name. Right. So for me, I want to change that narrative for the kids and the people coming after me. When you see the name Peagler and when you see Demons, you know that it has value. You know that there's people, what they did. They accomplished certain things. They was able to give opportunities to people. So that's the biggest thing, is being able to provide opportunities to other people, because I think it's easy to become rich and it's easy to get fame and get fortune. I mean, there's a lot of rich people and there's a lot of famous people, and I've met a lot of them. They're still not happy. Like, that was the best thing about being with the Denver Broncos and being around celebrities, to see, okay, that person has 50 million in their bank account, but they look miserable. Like, they are miserable, and you can see it. So money isn't everything. Right. So, but those people love to give back and try to help other people, and that's when you start to see the happiness. And it's not always about the money, it's just the fact that you tried to help someone else and you gave someone else an opportunity. So my long-term goal is to try to help as many people from an opportunity standpoint as I can while I'm here on this earth. And the more knowledge I learn, it's my responsibility to pass that knowledge on to people that I meet and have encounters with, because I feel like everybody in this world, you have a message, you have something in you that I need to hear. And it may be just 1 or 2 words that I need to hear that's gonna fire what I need to do to go to her and talk to her. And she has something that I need to hear. And it's like a chain reaction. Everyone has something that they bring to this earth. And that's my ultimate goal.
So I gotta tell you, amazing, very honorable. I have such great respect for the man that you present, and more importantly, the man that you prove time and time again and consistently to be. Folks, he told us about purpose, about passion, and about being able to pass those things on to other people. And I believe, and I think that Pat would agree, I believe that all of us, to one degree or another, we're put here on the earth to be able to do that for someone at some point. I love the fact that he has had the courage and the boldness to step out on faith in many situations in his life. He hasn't been afraid to do things that other people might not have agreed with and thought were the best things for him, but he listened to himself. He listened to the inner voice on the inside of him that was giving him that direction and that guidance on what he was about and what he wanted to be and the person that he wanted to become. And I respect that. I have great honor for that. I love that. And I think it's something that's huge for all of us, whether you're a student athlete, a young professional, or at whatever point you are in your life. Purpose, passion, and being willing to pass it on. Pat Peagler, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
No problem.
Yes, sir.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
I feel like Mike, Jordan, give me the rock and I'm scoring. Hey, came from the bottom, that's foreign. I swear that I'm up for the sun in the morning. Ooh, hey, I gotta flex. I need a Nike bag, give me the check.